This is Baruch here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and trying to get together here the ultimate connection with God. This is the book, The 7-Step Guide to its Jewish Spirituality. There's tremendous learning within it. It was written by Rabbi Yosef Chaim Mimran. He's an itinerant teacher of Kabbalah. He's all over the world, going around, moving around all the time. Let's see what he writes over here. Now, what he's really trying to do now is get us into the idea of we're going to start doing something. We're going to start meditating. We were warned in the last year that we gave that, there is a possibility to get to a meditative state, which is like the difference between, if you knew the Yud K, Vav K, the difference between the Vav, which is in the middle of two feminine, is male, and in the middle of two feminine aspects, his mother, so to speak, who feeds him, and then his wife, who he has to feed. It could be much better for the man to just stay on the top part, because that's where the real Shevat is, the real beauty of life is there in the world beyond. But his duty is down below with the lower hay. So we have the concept over here, the warning that we got in the last is that it could be possible that you would only want to be in the upper world, not in the lower world at all, and that's not your mission. Well, just a little idea, just a little remembrance of that, because now we're moving into something else. Now we've been warned and cautioned about the fact that we have to find the way back down. As Rabbi Nachman said, is it to be a baki b'rotz, you have to be smart how to go forward, and you have to also be smart baki b'shuv, how to get back. So it's a process of going up, going down, and now we're going to start with the steps. The first step, building the power of desire. So he writes like this. He makes a quote from the Ramban, who is also known in English as Nachmanides, on Shir HaShirim. He says the most important step to achieving any level of Dveikus. The Dveikus means is that we want to combine our souls with eternity, is a strong desire to connect. I would just add it could be that it's a strong need to connect. One way of creating this strong passion is through the power of music. This is what he's going to talk about here. As Rabbi Isaac Abarbanel in the Sefer Shmuel wrote, describes to us King Saul's encounter with the Bnei Nevi'im. Now he goes through and wants to try to explain this. He says, Shmuel the prophet, that's his name is Samuel, tells King Saul, when you come to this city, you shall meet a band of prophets. They will be coming from the high place, with harp, drum, flute, and lyre, in other words, with musical accompaniments, and they will be prophesizing themselves mitnavim. The Spirit of God shall then succeed in you. What does that mean? It will come into you, and you shall prophesy yourself with them, and you should be transformed into a different man. Now, this is just the whole concept. Now, these individuals were the sons of the prophets, the disciples of Shmuel HaNavi. Who was the prophet? The prophet we're talking about is Shmuel. Shmuel the prophet. He taught and directed them, preparing them to perceive the prophetic influx, that they should be open, that they should make themselves into a base kibble, a vessel. They could hold the light of God. They would go to this hill to meditate, which is, as Rabbi Nachman talks about this all the time, is boded, and seek prophecy, because of the influence of the Ark of God, which was kept there on this hill. While seeking prophecy, they made use of musical instruments, preparing themselves through the elation produced by the music. Now, as I'm reading this, and I'm also thinking about the world in which we exist now, where the Jewish people in the land of Israel are at war. And you have to imagine a time when there is no war, and the Jewish people settle back down to their hill, which is the place of the Holy Temple. And there is a tremendous power right there of consciousness, of godliness. But we're not at that place, so we have to do it in our little places where we're at now, far away, because God is everywhere. This is another example of this is found in the case of the prophet Elisha. The Torah relates that when he sought a prophetic message, in other words, he sought God, he said, now bring me a musician. And it was when the musician played and the hand of Hashem came upon him, is the quote. Why was music so important to the prophets? We can understand that a repetitive melody is very much like a mantra, and it can be used to banish extraneous thoughts and clear the mind for the enlightened state. An important category of classical meditation is the path of the emotions. Now he says something else, emotions, where one reaches a meditative state through the emotions, rather than through the intellect or senses. Since music can work very strongly on the emotions, it is particularly useful for this meditative method. Now let's see this, let me read it again. An important category of classical meditation is the path of the emotions. Now, this I live in a world of Litvaks. Litvaks have the exact opposite idea. They want to eliminate emotion because they think that it leads to different problems, anger, lust, many different things like that. But here he's talking about something else. He's been a path of classical meditation, in other words, the attempt to cling to eternity, is through our feelings. When one reaches a meditative state through the emotions, when you use your emotions rather than through the intellect or senses, since music can work very strongly on the emotions, is particularly useful for this meditative method. Now, what kind of music? I have one of my grandchildren is really into music. Now, the Kabbalists note that another important role of music and song is to cut through the forces of evil and help the prophet penetrate the klipa. Let's go through the sentence again. That another important role of music is to cut through the forces of evil. Now, the forces of evil are called false images that are very, very real to us, and help the prophet penetrate the klipot. Klipot are the shells, the false shells. There's nothing inside of them, but they are our images, our imaginations. It's pointed out that the word zamar, which means to sing, is also, as well as it is a derivative, has another word for it in the Psalms particularly, is the word mizmor, meaning a song or a chant. They come from a root that also means to cut. They come from a root that means also to cut something. To prune actually means pruning. Music thus cuts through the husks of evil. It has the ability to penetrate beyond and knock out all the false images, opening the way for the mind to ascend on high. One must realize that a prophet does not attain this highest level all at once. Now, let's going back to this now again. Now he wants to say, he's speaking to us practically. He says, let's say you want to be davek to the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. You realize that this life is short. Especially when you get to my age, you start realizing that for sure. This physical life is short, but within us is an eternity. And within us we must find eternity itself. It's a very perplexing problem how something physical contains in something and something inside of itself, which is eternal, but that's exactly what it is. He must elevate himself step by step until he actually attains full prophecy. Now, prophecy here, in the way that he's using now, he's saying that if we had the opportunity, which we have in this country at this time, but it's very difficult because the distractions are tremendous, is to find a place where you can actually listen to the music of your soul and find your way to eternity. Now he's saying that it's not permanent. So he says he must elevate himself. Let me get this back down. He must elevate himself step by step until he actually attains full prophecy. That is a complete and total melding of unity of yourself with eternity, your soul with eternity, because your soul is eternal. From some sources, it appears that the purpose of music was to prepare the prophet for the mystical state by removing all adverse emotions, because using that idea, In the above-mentioned case involving Elisha, a number of commentaries stated that the prophet was angry at the king and made use of the music to dispel his anger. It is from here that the Talmud derives the teaching that it is impossible to attain the prophetic state when one is in an angry mood. Now he's talking about mood which is an emotion. And he says that one of the ways of overcoming the mood is through music. Some sources indicate that music was used only to initiate the prophet into the meditative state, but that, when he actually attained this state, the music would be stopped. Other sources state that the music is the language of the spiritual world. Now here he goes into one of his thoughts, which is really, really profound, and that through music one actually communicates with the soul. Now he's going to refine that idea. And he's going to say like this: the music has certain qualities to it. Another reason why they used music was to raise the frequency of their vibrations to match that of the spiritual world. Now, according to this, is that the Kabbalists, or as he learns it, Rabbi Mimran learns it, that we are like a congealed set of vibrations that we don't understand. That in reality there's nothing, but there is a sense of vibration. So he says, as with all laws of physics, let me read it again. Another reason why they used music was to raise the frequency of their vibration level. That is, we are vibrations, congealed vibrations, sent out from the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, and ultimately slowed down into such a pitch that something physical develops, and that's us. But the vibrations themselves and the source of the vibrations are what's making us. This is making of everything, but it's in a realm beyond our understanding. To match the other original word, so that another reason why they used music was to raise the frequencies of their vibrations to match that of the spiritual world. There's a set of vibrations that we're trying to picture. I don't know if I could explain it well. How from inside of ourselves we could find there's actually a match in the ultimate world of spirituality. As with all the laws of physics, inherent energy is released from mass. So our body is like a mass, and this inherent energy, which propels everything, is through the medium of velocity, which is E = mc squared. This secret was also known to the biblical prophets in their own way. The prophets used the medium of music, which is set, that he's trying to say, is a set of vibrations. Multiple vibrations, melding vibrations into a song, into a sound, according to our culture and the vibrations of our culture itself, as a way to speed up their personal velocities. Because once again, the idea is that the human being, or the physical world itself, is a very low level of velocity of vibration, and compared to the original origin, which would be destroy this world in a second. So it has to be slowed down. So every person has their own personal velocity. It's special to all of us. In other words, velocity acts as a motivation, so it moves the person onward. He keeps we're vibrating. The speed and vibrations of the music act as a motivator to catalyze the energy latent in the prophet's thoughts and translate it into manifest action. Now I just have to take one more moment and try to read this again, try to understand what he just said. It was just a word salad that has tremendous meaning. The speed, how fast something is moving, the level of vibration, because music itself, especially, well, I really like guitar music, but there's a lot of other different sounds associated with it, and everybody can find a place in the sound, in the sense of music. So the speed and the vibrations of the music, which is a medium, the music is a medium that matches a medium within us. The speed and vibrations of the music acted as the motivator to catalyze the energy latent in the prophet's thoughts and translate it into manifest action. One last time. The speed and vibrations of the music acted as the motivator. They move you, move your emotions, move your mind. And what does it motivate you to do? To catalyze. I guess catalyze means to start. To start and motivate. That's why he said the word motivator, because catalyze and motivate kind of go together. The energy latent in the prophet's thoughts, which could be your thought or my thoughts, and translate it into manifest action. In this way, and derivatives of it, the biblical prophets performed miracles that appeared to be outside the laws of nature. In reality, the prophets were practicing five-dimensional living with the realm of thought guiding all. One more time. The biblical prophets performed miracles that appeared to be outside the laws of nature. But that's not really true. In reality, the prophets were practicing five-dimensional living. And as a result of that, they were tuned into a vibration level that we're not used to. With the realm of thought guiding all, that is their intention. So his last verb of Rabbi Mimran here is the most important step to achieving any level of dvekus, which means clinging or mating with the soul that was in you, which is godly, which is a vibration level manifest on a very high level, is a strong desire to connect. And I added on to that the need to connect. This is Baruch Fleischman. You were listening to Rabbi Yosef Chaim Mimran here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel.